Hi, I'm Amy. This is House of Nash Eats, and today we are making fresh strawberry pie. Okay, so we're going to start with our strawberry pie filling because we're going to cook part of it and let it cool down for a little bit while we make our pie crust. So I'm going to start with some strawberries that I have washed, and we're just going to cut the tops off of these strawberries. It's gonna take just a second. So we're just gonna use a sharp knife and trim off the top. And if they're really big, you might wanna cut them in half or even quarter them. And we're going to add them to our bowl. And we're going to want about 8 cups of strawberries. Okay, so I've cut up my strawberries. I have about 8 cups of strawberries total, and I've already pulled out some of my strawberries, about 1 cup of strawberries, and we're going to puree these. So you can do this in a food processor or a blender, but we want to get them really smooth so that we can make our gel that goes around our strawberry pie filling. So I'm going to add them to my blender, put the lid on, and then I'm just going to puree them. Okay, so once you've got your strawberries pureed, we're going to use a medium saucepan, and we're going to whisk together some sugar and cornstarch. And it's about 3/4 of a cup of sugar and 3 tablespoons of cornstarch. And I'll link below to the recipe with all of the ingredient measurements and amounts so that you can follow along there and print it out. And I'm just gonna whisk those together. And now I'm going to add our strawberry puree, a little bit of water. It's just 1/2 cup of water. Okay, and we'll turn this on. Now we're just going to stir those together and bring them to a boil over medium to medium-high heat, and let that boil for just a few minutes until it thickens and the liquid starts to turn clear. Now, if your strawberries are really red, you shouldn't need any food coloring to make this like really pop and look nice and red. If they're a little bit pink on the pink side, you might want to add a drop or 2 of food coloring. So what I really love about this recipe is that it's made with totally natural ingredients. I've seen other strawberry pie recipes that call for Jello or some other ingredients, and they're good, and I don't have anything against Jello. Obviously, I make it a lot, but I really love how using the cornstarch and the strawberry puree really brings forth that fresh, natural strawberry flavor. And that's why I think it makes the best strawberry pie. Okay, once this comes to a boil and bubbles for a couple of minutes, it will start to turn translucent. It will lose that like cloudy kind of look to it and look more like a shiny, glossy gel, which will be perfect for covering our strawberries. So once it hits that point, we're just going to turn the heat off and let this cool down for 30 minutes to an hour before we add it to our strawberries. Okay, so now that our filling is made and starting to cool down, I'm going to work on the pie crust. The pie crust for this fresh strawberry pie is a fully blind baked pie crust. So I've got my pie crust already made, and it was chilling, and I'm just going to roll this out. And I've got a whole video about how to make my favorite pie crust, and I'll be sure to link to it so that you can watch that video. But this is just how I roll it out and blind bake the pie crust. So spread a little flour on your counter and sprinkle some on the top of your pie crust and on your rolling pin. That'll just help it so it doesn't stick too badly. And I like to press it down just a little bit, get it started. You could do that with your rolling pin too. And just make sure that there's enough flour underneath. Okay, and then we're just going to roll it out until it is a little bit bigger than the size of our pan. And I just roll in opposite directions using smooth, firm strokes. And the reason I love this pie crust recipe that I'm linking to so much is because it uses both shortening and butter. And you can kind of see that there are little bits of butter rolled out here in the pie crust. And that's going to give it a really extra flaky texture and a wonderful buttery flavor. Okay, so I've got this rolled out slightly larger than my pie plate, which is just a regular, I think this is a 9-inch pie plate, which is what I always use. And now I'm just going to transfer it So I do that using this tool. It's called a pastry cutter. And I just slide it under the edges of my pie crust. You could use a sharp metal spatula too. And then put my rolling pin on top, and I just kind of lift and roll it over. And that makes it really easy to just lay it right out on top of my pie plate. And then you just tuck it down in. And I find when I'm blind baking the pie, I rarely trim the crust, because if you leave a little bit extra crust around the edges, it makes it so it doesn't shrink so much. So I'll just tuck the pie crust edges underneath. Plus, I really love the crust. The buttery, a little bit salty flavor of the crust contrasts so well with the sweet strawberry filling. So I like to have plenty of extra crust to go with my pie. Okay, so once it's tucked under, then we're just going to pinch the edges in a decorative crimp. And I just do this with my thumb and my forefingers. You could use a spoon, you could just press it down with the tines of a fork. You could use extra pie crust dough and make a braided edge, kind of whatever you want to make it look pretty. This is just a really simple, old-fashioned way of finishing a pie that my mom taught me, and it's how I've always done it. Okay, and then you're going to want to use a fork, the tines of a fork, to poke your crust all over the bottom and the sides. And this is just going to help it bake more evenly and prevent it from bubbling up quite as much while you bake it in the oven. Since there's no filling to hold the pie crust down, it has a tendency to want to shrink and bubble, and this is a good way to stop that. Once I've got all of the holes poked in the pie crust, we're going to line it with a piece of parchment paper. And it's a lot easier to do this when it's all crinkled up. So this is new parchment paper. I just crinkled it so it would be easier to work with, and fill it with pie weights. So I've got some ceramic pie weights that I use all the time, but you could use rice, you could use dried beans, you could even fill it with sugar and bake the pie crust with sugar and then reuse the sugar. It'll be a little bit toasted, but it'll work just fine in any recipe. So I'm gonna fill this with my ceramic pie weights. Okay, we're going to pop this in the oven for about 15 to 18 minutes until it's starting to brown just a little bit around the edges and it's set. And then we'll remove the pie weights and put it back in the oven for another 15 minutes or so until it's cooked all the way through and it's a nice golden brown pie crust. Okay, so we've got our fully baked pie crust shell that's ready, and it's had a chance to cool as well. And I've got our pie filling. It's the strawberry glaze that we've made, and our strawberries. So this is about 7 cups of strawberries here. And now it's time to assemble our pie. So I don't recommend doing this more than about 6 hours or so before you plan to serve this pie. It's a pie that's best eaten fresh on the day that it's made. We're going to just pour the glaze over our strawberries. You could also, if you want a really perfect presentation, arrange your strawberries in your pie shell and then pour the glaze over the top and kind of just jostle it down in, but it works just as well doing it this way, and then you make sure that your strawberries are all evenly coated. Okay, and then we're just going to gently toss the strawberries so that they get coated in this lovely sweet strawberry gel. Okay, now that we've got our strawberries coated in our simple strawberry glaze, we're just going to pour them into our cooked pie shell, and we're going to refrigerate the pie for 1 to 2 hours so that it has a chance to really set up so you can slice it. And if there's extra glaze at the bottom of your bowl, just go ahead and scrape that right out on top. And if you want to get really picky about it, you can get in with your fingers and turn strawberries over so that they're standing up with their points so you don't see the cut bottom parts. And it just makes for a little bit better presentation. So now we're just going to go pop this in the fridge to set up for an hour or 2, and we'll finish it off with a little bit of freshly whipped cream on top. Okay, so I've got my pie out of the fridge where it's been chilling for a little while, and I'm just going to top it with some sweetened whipped cream. And I like doing this in a decorative bag just to pipe swirls on to make it look a little fancy. This is using the $8.49 tip from Atico. And I'm just going to pipe swirls of whipped cream around the edges just to finish this off. And you don't even have to be a good decorator to make this look fancy. I mean, that's all it is, and it's just swirling it around with a big open star tip. And that's it, that's our strawberry pie. It is so beautiful. It is glossy from that fresh strawberry glaze, and I can't wait to slice in and eat this. Okay, and now I get to dig in. Go from right here and make sure we get some of that crust and the whipped cream. This is summertime on a plate. The crust is so flaky and buttery, and it complements the sweet strawberries so well with that cream. And the glaze is just so fresh, and that strawberry flavor just really comes through from all of the just natural strawberry ingredients. This is a fantastic pie. I think you guys are going to love it. Thanks for watching. I hope that you love this fresh strawberry pie recipe as much as our family does. And if you like the recipe, be sure to like and subscribe to my channel.